So, the Burning Man Festival is coming to a close this weekend. And every year when the festival happens, it always makes me kind of revisit some of my memories and my experiences there. And, there's always such an extreme response to it, especially in recent years. And it always just kind of gets me thinking about what it is and what it represents. And I wanted to just kind of dive into that a little bit and share a little bit of my experiences there and talk about kind of my perspective looking back on it almost like 10 years later now. So, my first experience with Burning Man sort of began back when I was like really deep in the rave scene. And I remember at the time, not a lot of people, it was very off the beaten path. The people I knew who went to Burning Man were like very, very, counterculture. Like they were not people that you knew who had like regular jobs or participated in. They were people who their life revolved around kind of like escapism and partying and all of these things. And this was back before social media was like really a thing. And so when I was first kind of introduced to Burning Man within my own experiences within the rave scene, it was intriguing to me, but I wasn't really sure about it. And I think like most people who have never been before and who don't really know what it is, there's the impulse to judge it right off the bat as like, oh, this is just people doing a bunch of drugs out in the desert. So as time progressed, I sort of started to feel more drawn to it the more I learned about it and the more people that I went who had gone. And this was still at a time when social media was not at all what it is now. It was not. And so at the time there was no cell phone service at Burning Man, and there was nobody was really sharing pictures from it so much. If you did see pictures from it, they were very like special and sort of made the experience seem that like this secret magical place, right? And I had decided probably in like 2014ish maybe that I really wanted to go, and I sort of saw it as this like pinnacle experience of partying, that like once I had gone to Burning Man, that would be like, because I feel like I had done and seen so much within my experience of like raving and partying and being in the music scene and all of that stuff. And I think I sort of saw Burning Man as like, okay, I'm gonna go and that's gonna be like the end of that chapter for me. So it took some time to get it together to go. And if you've ever gone, you know that it really does require quite a bit of work and planning and preparation and a lot of money and time invested. I mean, obviously, of course, it doesn't have to be like that. Like there are people who just get a ticket and they, you know, find a random ride and they go up there and they have nothing and they're given everything they need and whatever. But that could never be me. Okay, like I need to be prepared. So um my first year was in 2016, and I went that year with like a very dialed in camp. Like I was staying in a yurt that was built for me. I had air conditioning, I had showers, I had a private chef. I was staying at a camp that had a sound stage, and so it was a whole thing. And it was such a beautiful year that year in 2016. There was no issues with like the weather or anything like that. It was like absolutely gorgeous day and night. Um, and I had the time of my life. I had the best time. It was like being inside of a dream is really what it felt like. You're so detached from your life and the rest of the world, and you're just in this place that feels very otherworldly. It literally feels like you woke up inside of like, you know, a Baz Luhrmann or a Tim Burton movie, or some sort of fantastical world where like you just see and experience so many incredible things that you can't even imagine just within, you know, the course of one day. It's like you live a lifetime. You know, there's just so much going on and so much to see. And that year was just really like, I think your first year is kind of like taking it all in, and everything is just so special. And like it's just, it really is not like anything else in the world. um just to, you know, the things that people build and create out there, and the energy of it is just unparalleled. It's really unparalleled. And so after that, after I went that year, a lot of things in my life started to change after I came back home to LA. And something I really felt about being out there was like, one of my biggest takeaways from it was like, I saw myself sort of as like a satellite of this energy that I had come into. I had realized through this experience, like this energy of like creating beauty and magic and wonder and joy in the world. And I was like, and sort of this spirit of reciprocity, and like, you know, giving just from your heart and not needing to receive, or like helping those who need, you know, if they need something and you can help them. Like there's very much this spirit of reciprocity there, that I think we're very closed off from in the real world, right? And so I sort of felt like, you know, if all these people come and they gather and they have this experience and they take, that seed is planted within them. It's like we're all these like little satellites that go out into the world. And you can see this, like you can see the things that burners have created elsewhere in the world, like the other festivals and the art and all the things, the ways that like this burner culture has spread. And that I think is such an incredible aspect of it, right? So then the following year I was like, I have to go back again. I was like, I have to go, I have to experience that again. And I had decided that following year that I was going to go by myself, and that this was going to be an experience, a lesson in like really doing this on my own. And the following year, 2017, it was like scorching hot. Like people think that like they see the dust storms, the wind, it's raining, whatever. I think rain would probably be pretty bad, but you can't convey through a video or a photo how horrendous extreme heat is. To be out in the desert and have it be like absolutely scorching, is really, it's really wretched. And I really struggled that year. That year like really pushed me to my limits and tested me. And I had a very different experience that year. I spent a lot of my time there in 2017, alone, and that was fine with me. That I'm and it's funny because it was kind of almost like in a way preparing me for like the last like several years of my life, which I've spent for the most part in a lot of ways very alone. And there's like beauty in that, there's strength in that, there's so much that I'm grateful for in that. um but it's just weird, it's very weird to like be in this place where you're surrounded by so many people, and there's like so much opportunity that you would think to connect, but to actually really feel disconnected in a large way from most people. And I think that and it's funny because I this is very kind of representative of how I feel in the world in a lot of ways, and how I felt over like the last few years, like with everything that's happened through 2020 and just the ways the world has changed. I've often felt like out of place in this world, right? um so that was like an interesting lesson to learn out there, and to kind of just step into like just being present with myself in a much much deeper way. And I think that I was kind of starting to feel a sense of like disillusion with like what I consider to be like a false kind of the false kind of connections that people make through drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff. And I just wasn't on that wavelength. Like I'm just not on that wavelength. And I kind of was facing that a little bit that year. And so it was a rough go of it that year. So that was the last time I went. And I would say that both of those years, like to have those two experiences back to back, I definitely like needed some time to like integrate those experiences and to like, process them before. And I sort of had this, I mean, I came to this decision where I was like, if I ever do go back, I'm not going to go back in the same ways that I've gone before. So, like, for me, I have this vision of like, if I do ever go back, I would love to go back with my best friend, hopefully, like my person, and get to experience the experience of being there with someone that I really love, and getting to share in that experience with someone else who I really love. And it would also be incredible to be a creator in a greater way. So like I do have a lot of like ideas of like things that I would want to make and share out there, and how I could like contribute to the experience of others in a larger way and share like my gifts in a larger way. So I would definitely go back, but it would just have to be a massive up level from the experiences that I've had in the past on a number of levels. Um, so we'll see if that ever like comes to fruition or aligns or whatever. But this year I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the pushback that I always see to Burning Man, that always comes around, like at least over the last like couple of years. There's definitely a rising sense of like animosity towards the festival and towards the people that go to the festival. And I find this really interesting. And I do think that, of course, this is a natural reaction to the rise of social media, because people are tired of being influenced, right? They're tired of the sort of the divide between the haves and the have-nots is getting greater, right? And there was a time, maybe like 10 years ago or however, when the Kardashians were like at in their heyday, where it was like being able to look in on like luxury and opulence was like fun or inspiring in some way. But it's like the way that the world has gone and changed over the last 10 years, it's like that's there's like a an animosity and a resentment growing towards those who have so much, right? And what is Burning Man if not the epitome of like excess, right? And so there's something in that where people are just tired. They're tired of the influencers, they're tired of the excess, they're tired of the trash and the waste and the consumerism and just the phoniness of all of it. And I totally get that. Like I part of me hates that as well. Like I will always at my core be the worst kind of hipster, where I'm like, as soon as the normies start liking something, I hate it, And so I try to not be a hater, because I know what the experiences are that I've had there, and I know what is truly special about it. But it's like it is hard to see kind of it turn into this almost like Coachella-esque experience, and to have it just, with now there's Starlink and everyone there has service and everyone's posting and they're on their phones, and it's like part of the magic of it. And this, I feel this way about, like, I feel very lucky that I got to kind of come of age in the rave scene before social media, because what used to make these things special was that they were like this secret world, and they had these like bad reputations of like, oh, this is like the bad kids, or everyone's just going to do drugs and whatever. And of course there are bad dark there was very dark sides to like the rave scene, right? And there's very dark sides to Burning Man, and I'll get into that more as well. But um there was something, what drew me to these places was kind of like the secret specialness of them. And it was like, yeah, all these people that I don't really relate to, like, they can hate it, they can think it's lame, they can think whatever they want because they don't know, and they can stay away from these experiences, and those of us who do know can have them, right? And so now, like, with the rise of social media and accessibility of the internet and all these spaces, it's like the culture of it has really changed. And I think that on top of that, I do feel like there's, unwarranted hatred, which I think comes from a place kind of envy, where if you are living a life where you are unhappy, or you feel trapped within yourself, or you are not expressing your inner child or feeling a sense of joy in your life, of course it's going to trigger you to no end to see this like boundless display of hedonism, which is exactly what Burning Man is. And so I think that a lot of people cherry pick the worst aspects of Burning Man to like prove this point that it's this terrible, awful place, just because they want to feel better about the fact that they themselves are actually not tapping into their own inner source of joy, or experiencing this kind of like feeling of freedom within their own lives, or able to experience experiences like this for whatever reason. So I do think that, like, of course, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be haters on the internet, right? And a lot of it is unwarranted, and a lot of it is coming from people who have never gone. So, like, what do they know? You know what I mean? But it's like people really do. They really do love to hate on Burning Man, and in a lot of ways I get it. In a lot of ways I think it's just silly and envious, right? But I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the darker sides of Burning Man, and also like um just what is the point of it ultimately, right? Like, so I saw something the other day that was talking about Nicole Shanahan, I think her last name is. She was the running mate to RFK, to his campaign, and she, I guess, recently came out like talking about how she was a burner for like 10 years, and how she's like, found Jesus or whatever, and now she thinks Burning Man is demonic. And obviously I don't, I think it's kind of silly to like, I think that when people are constantly like, they're chasing idols, so like they become obsessed with something, like first it's that they're a burner, it's like we're attaching to this label of like, this is now my thing and my identity, and then all of a sudden now it's like, I love Jesus and this is my identity or whatever. It's like it's always just the same. You're just transferring this emptiness, this void space within yourself to like a different obsession. And I kind of, I don't like it when people do that and then they turn on the thing that was like previously their thing. Um, because I think that, like, to me, what Christ consciousness is like an embodiment of the energy of Christ within the self. It's never something that is separate from you. It's not an idol to be worshipped. And when we look at the stories of Jesus, there's a reason that Jesus um, spent time with sinners, right? Like, surrounded himself with sinners. And so when I think of Burning Man, like in this context, it's like yes, this playground, this hedonistic playground, is rife with the opportunity to um, tap into energies that are not great, right? So, like, whenever we're talking about things like, you know, like if we're talking about sort of like the devil energy, which I think of like the devil energy as like what keeps us trapped in lower vibrational frequencies. And so if we're talking about an experience where people are doing drugs, they are, they're opening themselves up when there's not thoughtfulness and intention behind it, there's opportunity for different kinds of energies to siphon your energy through you in those types of circumstances. And so that's why there is a lot of darkness through these. I've always felt this way with partying. Like, I've never been like a love and lighter, because to me, partying, because I'm such a sensitive person and I'm such an intuitive person, I've always had to hold the good with the bad. Like, I've always been that person who's like, if someone's having a bad time, like that's like a bad trip or something, they're freaking out, like that's never gonna bother me. I'm never like that good vibes only kind of person, because I just find that stuff like so fake and phony and like selfish, really, because I do feel that there's a dark side to this stuff. And, like in 2017, the night of the man burn, a man ran into the fire and killed himself. Very dark, right? Like, and it's like, I will never forget that. I will never forget that as long as I live. And like, I think about that because this man had a life, he had a wife and children. And I really think that he had just, from being out there and doing all these drugs and whatever, he was obviously in some type of psychosis. And what is psychosis really? Like, I think about these things all the time, but it's like, I do think that psychosis is like when something, it's like entity attachment. An aspect of yourself is being controlled by something else. And I know for myself, like, because I have gone to some really dark places within my own life and within my own self, and in the experiences that I've had, and I truly think this is part of being like a light worker, like a genuine light worker, is like those of us that are doing this work have pretty much all had like really challenging experiences in our lives and have had to go deep into the darkness in order to understand it and in order to draw our light back out from there, right? So like, um I know the effects of like being deep into like substance abuse and having issues with these things, and I know what it can mean to have entity attachments and what it can mean to kind of be expressing these like darker aspects of yourself. And to me, that is the devil energy. Like, the devil energy wants to keep you stuck in these frequencies of like, you know, lust, right? So, you know, scattering your life force energy, which is, your sexual creation energy, like, and there's so many ways that that is preyed upon and manipulated within these worlds, right? Within these kind of like Burning Man-esque type worlds. And it's painted as this like free spirit, hippy dippy, expansive consciousness way of existing. But when you dig a little deeper into it, it's actually not that. It's very siphoning and destructive energy. It's like the anti-union energy. um or like, there's so much of like the kind of darker aspects that of humanity, of human nature, that are present within this space that is like, it's like a playground, right? It's like a playground for energy harvesting. And there's a reason why a lot of very powerful people are involved in it. There's a reason why a lot of very powerful, rich, successful people go to it. Um, and so I think, and it's ritualistic, right? Like it's, you're going out there and there's a lot of different kinds of rituals taking place. And so you have to be like, from my perspective on that is like, it's not all bad and it's not all good, right? Like, and a lot of it comes down to like you as an individual and what you are going to make of the experience that you're having. And so like for me, especially that first year that I went, like I was tapped into like really pure light and love in through that experience. And like I gained so much through that experience that I wanted to share like with the world, right? And I wanted to like take back out with me into the regular into my regular life. um but yeah, I think it really just, it comes down to like what your just like anything, just like regular life, right? Like there's going to be darkness and there's going to be light and there's going to be good experiences, there's going to be bad experiences. So do I think that Burning Man in and of itself is like a purely demonic force? No, I don't. Just the same way that I don't think anything else is, right? um it's funny, like, yeah, i I don't know. I think most people that have gone have been changed in positive ways for their time there and what they've experienced there. I remember a friend of mine, I met this woman actually in Mexico when I was doing my yoga teacher training, which was right after I went to Burning Man for the first time. And she was like, oh, I would never go, like, blah, blah, blah. She's like, very judgmental of the experience, right? And then I ended up reconnecting with her, I think, right before Burning Man the following year. And she had met someone who wanted her to go with them. And so she was planning on going. And she told me she like bought all these like silly kind of like Halloween costumes and things, like just silly stuff, because that's what she thought it was. Like she thought it was like just everyone goes and like acts stupid and silly. And when I talked to her after she got back, she was like, it had changed her life. And she was like, I realized like it wasn't about wearing costumes and acting stupid or silly or whatever. It was like being more of yourself. So like if if being the most authentic version of you is like you want to wear this beautiful you know, fairy princess dress with like fairy wings because this feels beautiful to you and it feels special and it feels fun and it feels exciting, it's like, then at Burning Man you can go ahead and do that, you can wear that outfit, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's what Burning Man is like hopefully awakening within you, where it's like, okay, I can go to this place and I can just be my most authentic expression of myself, whatever that may be. And you see it all out there, you see it all. It's not about just like the people that want to dress up, it's like some people are just walking around butt ass naked. Like it's anything that you want, you're free, you're free. And who are you when you're free? Who are you when there's no time? There's no like you can just do and be whatever it is that you want. It's like who are you in those moments? And and so she was like, I didn't, that completely changed her. She was like, it was like this permission to be more myself. Um and so yeah, I think that like a lot of people who come to that realization out there, it's like then you go back to your regular life and you're like, I actually have permission to be more authentically myself every day. Because what really, at the end of the day, is stopping me from always living my most authentic, genuine life and sharing myself in the most authentic, real ways, right? And I think that is the joy and the lesson and the gift of being out there, right? Is just seeing the magic in the world. And and there's something that people always say, that the playa always provides, right? And so when you're out there, you never go without anything you need. It will always arrive. And this is something that I tell myself about God and the universe. It's like, it's not just the playa that provides, it's life, it's the universe. And like, what if we just walked through life trusting that we are held, that we are always provided for, that we are safe, we're protected, we're loved, you know? Um, so I've just kind of been carrying that with me since then. And yeah, I mean, there's always going to be, you know, the little hater in me every year that I don't go, that, you know, like is jealous of everyone else who did go. But at the end of the day, I love it. I think it's a really, really special, magical experience that cannot be duplicated. It is interesting, the weather over the last like couple of years, you know, very, very extreme. And I think that's just been all over the world, right? Like we've had these crazy fires here in LA this year. There's just, you know, flooding, fires, all. It's like the earth is having her own moment right now. And so going out somewhere like deep in the desert like that is obviously going to be it's going to come with challenges, right? And that's always the risk of doing that stuff, is like you really actually do have to be prepared for whatever may happen. Um, but yeah, I think the earth is just kind of asking us as human beings to do a better job of taking care of her. And I think that's part of the hatred that people give to Burning Man too, is just knowing like the trash that gets left out there and just the mess that kind of gets made as a result of the festival. And it's like, how can we do better? How can we as a collective take better care of the world and not just trample all over her, right? So yeah, I think that's everything that I kind of wanted to say on that. um, we'll see. We'll see if the playa calls me back someday. All right. Well, if you made it this far, thanks for listening, and I'll talk with you again soon.